The Mercedes-Benz GLC has been a great success for the brand. It's one of their best-selling vehicles. New for 2025 is this plug-in hybrid variant. So, is this the best version of the GLC yet? Let's go for a drive and find out. So let's start with all of the plug-in hybrid stuff. The battery is 24.8 kilowatt hours and it supposedly provides 87 kilometers of electric-only driving range. I wasn't really able to achieve that much range. So on one trip where I used only the electric mode, I had the climate control running and I only managed about 72 kilometers of electric-only driving range. However, I did another trip just using electricity and a fully charged battery, and with the climate control turned off, then I managed to get a little bit closer to its estimated range. I managed to get 82 kilometers of electric-only driving range. Recharging that battery is done through a level 2 charger, which will take just under 3 hours from 10% to 100% according to Mercedes-Benz. But unlike some other PHEVs, the 2025 GLC 350e can be equipped with a CCS Level 3 DC charging capability. This allows it to recoup 60 kilowatts of power, with 10% to 80% being completed in just 30 minutes. Like many other different plug-in hybrids, this GLC 350e has a few different battery modes to choose from. Electric mode is just as it implies, you drive just on electricity, but whenever you put your foot down, you will feel a little bit of resistance in the throttle pedal, and if you push past that resistance, then the engine will turn on. In hybrid mode, it will primarily try to run on electricity, but it doesn't take quite as much pressure on the throttle pedal to get the engine started. Battery hold is, again, as the name implies, it'll just hold the battery charge at whatever it's at. It will not recharge the battery, however, like some other plug-in hybrids, but it will drive instead like a traditional self-charging hybrid, like a Toyota Prius, for example. If the battery is completely depleted, then the GLC 350e will behave the same way as if it's in the battery hold mode, so like a self-charging hybrid. But if you do drive this GLC 350e like that, with the battery completely depleted, then the fuel economy is not as good as the GLC 300. And that's because this GLC 350 is carrying a weight penalty due to that heavier battery and the electric motors. That weight penalty also affects this car's performance. Under the hood, it has a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine paired with a 9-speed automatic transmission. Combined with the electric motor, it produces 313 horsepower and 406 pound-feet of torque. But this Mercedes GLC 350 cannot accelerate as quickly as the GLC 300. Again, because of the weight penalty. Mercedes Canada states that this car will do the 0 to 100 km/h sprint in 6.7 seconds, while the GLC 300 does it in about 6.2 seconds. Now those times are a bit conservative, but other publications have tested both cars and they came to the same conclusion. The GLC 350e is slower to accelerate than the GLC 300. Unlike a few other PHEVs, the GLC 350e does not have a one-pedal mode. It does, however, have 3 different levels of regenerative braking: low, medium, and high. These are controlled by pulling on the paddle shifters on the steering wheel. Low provides almost no regen braking, while high provides quite a bit, but not enough to be used as a substitute for the one-pedal mode. However, the high regen mode also makes the brake pedal move on its own when slowing down. It doesn't move quite as much as the brake pedal in the Nissan Ariya, for example, but it is enough to give an uneasy feeling. In an emergency, you want the brake pedal to be in the exact same place. You don't want to be searching for it with your foot. Thankfully, in the other regen modes, it doesn't move. When you find yourself on more entertaining roads, This GLC 350e feels almost the same to drive as the GLC 300. The steering is direct but light. There's a bit more body roll through corners than the AMG models, of course, but overall, it's an easy SUV to drive. Where this car really shines is with the comfort that it provides. As this is a crossover SUV that focuses more towards luxury, the ride is just that, luxurious. Big potholes don't upset the ride quality with a great feeling of isolation in the cabin from the road. This generation of Mercedes GLC has a really quiet cabin that is made quieter by the transition to a PHEV. Very little road noise is audible on highways, wind noise is non-existent, and engine noise is also minimal under normal driving conditions. The switch from EV mode to the gasoline engine turning on is negligible as well. The interior of the GLC 350e is identical to that of the standard GLC 300, which means that there are almost no physical buttons anywhere in this cabin. Most functions are either integrated into the touchscreen, which does blend nicely into the center console, or there are capacitive touch controls like the bar that's right underneath the touchscreen or the ones on the steering wheel. These ones on the steering wheel I do find quite annoying because it does require some swiping, and sometimes if you swipe left or right, it'll think that you're actually swiping up or down. So again, very frustrating while you're driving. As for the climate controls, yes, they're always going to be at the very bottom of the infotainment touchscreen, but when you're driving, this just feels a little bit too distracting because you have to take your eyes away from the road to make sure that you're actually selecting the item that you wanted to select. Whereas with tactile buttons or toggle switches, you can feel your way. And whenever you push it or toggle it, you know that the setting has actually changed. Here, you have to confirm it by looking at it. Visually though, this interior does look great. It has the customizable ambient lighting system, which Mercedes-Benz does a fabulous job with. You can also choose different types of trims. So this one has a metal weave look to it, but it's not actually metal, it's still just plastic. But you can get wood, or if you really want, you can get piano black plastic. But I absolutely hate the look of that one because scratches, dust, fingerprints are easily highlighted with that. These front seats are pretty comfortable for the most part. They have a few different adjustments, including lumbar and thigh support, but the bottom cushion is just a tad on the firm side. Granted, it's not as firm as the AMG performance seats that you get in the GLC 63, but compared to some other vehicles in this class, they are just a little bit on the firm side. The leather, though, on these seats doesn't really feel that great. It's very coarse to the touch. It's not as soft as the leather in a Lexus, for example. As for interior space, I have plenty of legroom and plenty of headroom for my 6'4" height. I did lower this seat to its lowest position, that's why I have so much headroom, but visibility around the car is perfectly fine in the front. Side blind zones are not too big, and visibility out the back is pretty good too. So that's about it for the front seats of the GLC 350. Now let's go check out the back seats. Back here, it does look like as though it's cramped, but do you know what? It's actually not that bad. So yes, my knees are right up against the back of the front seat behind my tall 6'4" driving position, remember, but they don't feel squished at all. If somebody that's a bit more average in height was sitting back here, then I would actually have a little bit more legroom. As for headroom, I can just barely feel my hair brushing up against the headliner, but again, it's actually not that bad. The center hump is a decently sized one, and you do get a couple of USB-C ports on the center console, plus a couple of air vents. And of course, the cup holders are right here in the center armrest. And yeah, that's about it for the back seats. Again, not too bad back here. Now, let's go check out the trunk, because there is a change with this GLC 350e compared to the GLC 300. Because of the hybrid battery, this GLC 350 does not have as much cargo capacity as the standard GLC 300. You're only getting 470 liters of cargo space in this one versus 620 liters in the GLC 300 behind the back seats. Of course, if you do fold down the rear seats, it's the same story. Less cargo space in this plug-in hybrid versus the non-plug-in hybrid version. And as you can see, the floor is raised on this plug-in hybrid variant. There is a small, albeit very, very small storage bin right underneath the trunk floor, but if you do need cargo space, this is not the GLC for you. As is to be expected, this GLC 350e is more expensive than the GLC 300. It starts at around $65,000 Canadian, and it can be equipped the same way as the GLC 300, and the options list is extensive and expensive. The way that this one is equipped, it'll cost you about $80,000 Canadian, before fees and taxes, of course. The base price of the 2025 GLC 350e includes all of the same convenience and luxury features of the GLC 300. Plus the addition of the hybrid components, of course. But both cars can be equipped the same way with heated and ventilated front seats, heated rear seats, leather or Nappa leather upholstery, panoramic sunroof, Artico trim on the dashboard and door panels, Burmeister surround sound system, wireless phone charging pad, surround view cameras, and even a built-in dash cam, among others. It also comes equipped with a lot of standard safety features. All of the important safety and driver aids are present, such as automatic emergency braking, blind spot sensors, which also function when the car is at a stoplight, vehicle exit warning, 7 airbags, and much more. Some optional features include active lane keeping assist, the surround view cameras and built-in dash cam I mentioned a little while ago, trailer stability assist, and evasive steering assist, among many more. On the outside, none would be the wiser to know that this is a PHEV, unless they see the extra charge port on the driver's side, of course. Otherwise, it looks like a GLC 300, which looks very similar to the previous generation. The grille has the same overall shape as the last, while the headlights retain the same overall shape as before. The LED daytime running lights are different, but it's a subtle change. The taillights have also been changed, but again, very subtle tweaks. One item about the design that irks me are the fake exhaust tips. The real ones point downward right behind the bumper cover. So is this the best version of the GLC? Well, if you're not going to be plugging it in and not going to be using the battery, then this car is slower, less fuel efficient, and more expensive than the GLC 300. But if you are going to be plugging it in and using it as a plug-in hybrid is supposed to be used, then it does make more sense. However, at that point, I'd be thinking to myself, perhaps a full electric vehicle might be a better option. And if you stick to just city driving, then yes, an EV does make more sense. However, for those long family road trips, this makes more sense. But just make sure that you actually use the battery and actually plug it in. Otherwise, just get the GLC 300. That one's pretty good too. In the meantime, if you would like to know more about this GLC 350e, I have a more detailed written review of it over on my website. You can find that link in the video description or click on the pop-up banner right up here. And as always, I will see you in the next car or truck or most likely another SUV. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video and see you in the next one.